start of a road to reform or a pathway to electoral ruin? This weekend's New South Wales Labor Party conference might determine the future of an entire movement. For more than 120 years, the ALP has weathered internal splits and electoral wipeouts. Resilient in adversity, the movement has always survived, backed by huge membership and a caucus loyal to the leader. But nowadays, a merry-go-round of federal and state leaders and a shrinking base of active members paints a picture of a party mired in factional inertia. For some insiders, tomorrow's conference is a chance to restore the democratic power of rank-and-file members. But this week's stoush over Greens preferencing deals and tensions over union voting rights means the journey ahead is far from certain. James Carlton prepared this special report.
In a small room in the Labor heartland of Western Sydney, the party members are holding their monthly meeting.
Okay, we'll declare open this meeting of the Auburn branch of the Australian Labor Party. And
they may be few in number, but they're passionate and dedicated. And they're also in despair. In just 10 years, 100 branches like this have shut down in New South Wales alone, prompting the branch secretary, Anthony D'Adam, to speak out at the state of the party and its rotating leadership.
If you look at what happened to Whitlam in 1969, he faced election defeat, and yet he was retained as the leader. That just wouldn't happen in the modern Labor Party. And I think it's reflective of a different type of Labor Party in a different era where values and principles actually prevailed over the pragmatics of politics. Labor was really committed to an agenda, and because Whitlam epitomised that agenda, he was retained as a leader because people had faith in what he stood for. And we can't say that that's the case in the modern Labor Party.
I've said on a number of occasions now that the party's membership is old and getting older, it's small and getting smaller. And what we need to do to address that situation, I think, is give people a reason to join the Labor Party and to stay involved. So give them a say. Give them a say in who represents them in Parliament, in the direction of the party, in the organisation of the party and the party policy.
Today, John Faulkner charted a path to revive the party, now reeling from unprecedented defeats in New South Wales and Queensland, to be repeated federally according to the polls, but the factions and union secretaries that control them are pushing back.
It's up to the party, and my view is if this is serious, this pushback, and it succeeds, then we'd be a laughing stock. We'd pretty much just pack up and go home. It'd be all over.
These amendments pose...
Sam Dastiari is 28 years old. He has the job of returning the Labor organisation to its glory days. He's the head of the New South Wales Right. He's in charge at Sussex Street, the Labor Party head office.
We need to get away from this culture of intervention where the Labor Party head office and a handful of power brokers are selecting who Labor representatives are. That needs to come to an end.
That's a departure from his predecessors. Mark Arbib, Carl Batar and Eric Roosendahl routinely imposed their candidates under the notoriously abused N40 rule. And as Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd took the practice nationwide, appointing a gang of 5 union and faction bosses empowered to suspend any pre-selection ballot at will. But even if party democracy is restored, it will bring its own complications. This is a small but typical ALP branch meeting. It's diverse and representative of the community. There's Turks, Irish, Italian, Australian-born, Muslims, Christians. But just down the road, there's a branch which admitted 106 members, and they're all Sunni Muslims from Lebanon. And you can see, active as they are, how 106 members would overwhelm a branch like this.
Well, look, I don't see this as branching. I see there is a New South Wales Labor has been running a really large recruitment campaign, and frankly, I think too many people in the Labor Party are too afraid of new voices and new people joining.
In a matter of hours, membership of this suburban branch rockets from 11 to 166.
Back in 1992, Four Corners exposed extensive ethnic branch stacking in southwest Sydney and the Illawarra. Making his name as a young right faction organiser was a future treasurer of New South Wales.
You wouldn't describe tonight's events as an exercise in branch stacking?
Oh, some people may. I think it's just the local branch, local people in the local area coming along to their local branch.
The problem we had in the 1990s, James, as a party was branch stacking. The problem we have now, I call branch stripping, is where people actively make sure their area isn't recruiting, that there aren't new people joining the Labor Party, that they're putting measures, place and decisions to stop new people joining the Labor Party as a bid to kind of retain control. That's not a good outcome for the Labor Party. And in 2011, we hit rock bottom when it came to ALP membership.
It's not just branch stacking being debated. The elephant in the room is the power of union block votes. On paper, unions have an equal 50-50 say with party members. In practice, union control is impregnable, with delegates not elected but hand-picked, usually by the union secretary. And he gives them a double vote, not one vote each, but two.
In my view, it offends a really fundamental Labor principle of one vote, one value. And the report that was conducted by myself and my colleagues Bob Carr and Steve Bracks after the 2010 election recommended in the strongest possible terms that dual voting not be accepted under any circumstances.
Look, I've said to John, I think that the issue of dual voting is a non-issue as far as I'm concerned.
And on the weekend, Sam Dastyari will likely prevail. 7:30 New South Wales has obtained the Rules Committee report. It says double voting has to stay, otherwise there'd be too many people in the room. But Sussex Street says of the change, it does
support in principle, but note that due to OH&S concerns and fire regulations at the Sydney Town Hall, this change cannot be introduced.
I'm a little perplexed about that, given that we have a conference of 850 people and the Town Hall's own website says that it can comfortably sit 2,000 people and even 800 people on the floor of the Town Hall with tables in a dining setting.
But if the party provided meals at conference, that could sit well with the recruitment drive.
I'd be checking to make sure that what I had wasn't poisoned.
All jokes aside, with dual voting likely off the menu, the main dish will be greens and a union push to re-examine preference deals. Federal Whip Joel Fitzgibbon is convener of the Right faction.
We are almost giving them our imprimatur to go out there with populist policies, steal our vote, and then, of course, be rewarded with preferences.
And I watched a Labor figure the other night and he said something, I couldn't believe it. He said the Greens have stolen votes off us.
Last night, in a Glebe bookshop, Labor's inner-city battleground, former West Australian Premier Jeff Gallop weighed in.
Stolen votes? They've won votes. They've won votes in the political... You don't steal votes, but what mentality's going on here? What's the mentality behind that? The mentality of the faction apparatchik, you know, without a purpose.
Why are they bringing radioactive waste from the North Shore?
And collect more than 13,000 signatures.
But back at Auburn, the members are organising a community action campaign.
I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but, you know, someone's got to do it.
As the meeting comes to a close, there's a feeling time is running out if Labor's faceless men are to put a new face on their party. For now, they wait in hope.
Will declare the meeting closed at 8:35. Thank you.
James Carlton reporting there.